Welcome back, you made it. And today the main task at hand is replacing this whiteboard that's behind me, and I'm going to walk you through why.
How you feeling, everybody? Hope you had a nice day. Sometimes I feel all alone, sometimes I can't get away. I feel my life is in danger every night when I lay. So can you do me a favor, smile for me?
Same price, much better selection.
Really? Oh, the top one looks awesome.
Yep, top one it is. $26,000. What the heck? Okay, so why we actually went on that little run is to actually replace this board. This was a sorry attempt at trying to create my own whiteboard. And essentially, this was some MDF, and I bought a couple of those, I guess, canisters of paint that allow you to try to make your own whiteboard. And if you see how horrible of a paint job I did here, so it's too rough and it tears up the all of the different heads of the markers. So I'm going to attempt and actually put in that current whiteboard, which is what I should have did in the very beginning on this construction here, so that I have a proper whiteboard. So just kind of give you an idea of how this thing was constructed. I'm trying to make it really rigid, and it's got casters and whole 9 yards. We try to make it right. So it's a full 8 by 4 board, so it's a very large whiteboard. So there it is. This is the kind of stuff that I like to use on this, is building out a rig, kind of mocking it up. I've always been a big fan of whiteboards, and I think, you know, drawing out the concepts, you know, I mean, you could do this totally on a piece of paper. You do not need a whiteboard, but, you know, with getting a group of folks around and you're starting to try to draw it out, you can kind of mock up, you know, kind of designs, lengths, heights, you know, kind of do a model before you go out and spend money. And then take your lessons learned from your different rigs. You know, how much power are each of these rails drawing? You know, what we were trying to provide in some of the videos before were, you know, titanium power supply at the wall. You know, how much power is it drawing? What is the differences? You know, on this particular rig, it is pretty significant. I mean, you know, you usually don't have this kind of range. They're usually pretty close. It's just the power supply gets a little hot. For whatever reason, the way these RX 480s draw, it has a pretty good range of quality of power supply that you have. On this particular rig, you know, we kind of marked out, you know, how much power the actual, you know, cables drawing for the powered risers, and then, you know, what kind of PSU. I always go a little heavier and go with the platinum with a little more power requirement, because I don't know if I'm going to end up replacing these cards at some point with something that's going to have a little higher, kind of gives you a little headroom on the power usage. Again, this is a RX 480 rig. This kind of shows you kind of how we get, you know, to the cost breakdown, you know, on these kind of components: motherboard, RAM, you know, Pentium, you know, and you can have a couple different models here that you can draw out, you know, paying the, you know, good old government tax, you know, rough order of magnitude and cost. And then, you know, I mean, just kind of figure out your time. I mean, if you're doing these rigs, you're building these for friends because you're capable, and you are your area community kind of person, fulfilling, you know, the build requirements for folks. You know, make sure that you're putting a little cheddar in for yourself. You know, for in this particular instance, you know, this rig takes about an hour and a half to build. Sometimes it can get a little longer if you're going to rivet and build. But bottom line, you know, an hour and a half, $125 an hour, somewhere around that. Get this rig cold costs about $2,400 bucks. So this will give you about 185 mega hash, you know, with the right ROMs on it, and you know, your power costs. I mean, it really fluctuates. I hate putting cost onto this because for like our area, our costs are a lot less just because of the power cost that we have. So the power for us is roughly 8 cents a kilowatt, and then drops to 4 cents after 2,000 kilowatts, which is a really, really good deal. So total break even on this rig right now at current rates at about $45 a piece. This is pulling about two and some change coin, if looking at Ethereum, about 2.2, 2.5, somewhere around, depending what pool you're in, but around 2.5 coins a week at the current, you know, March, you know, or April 1st timing. So you're looking at about 5.5 months at that rate. And this is, we'll do a whole other video on, you know, you can forecast this, you can forecast it staying at this, but we've all known since, you know, Ethereum really took off in March of 15, you know, the cost differential. We'll go through a whole blog, or vlog I should say, covering kind of the predictive modeling that you can do with this and how we kind of planned. But bottom line, we were not anticipating that price. We were anticipating a $20 price point at this time. So, you know, if you held your coins through current from March of 15, and you had one of these rigs, you'd have roughly about 250, 260 coins because of the way the difficulty worked and the output. So you'd have roughly about 265, I believe, is what our numbers were. So 265 Ethereum, and 265 times that number is crazy on one of those rigs, which at the time would not have been an RX 490. You're talking probably an R9 390, around the same. It was a little more then, but you know, a 390 you'd have to have that to get close to that. You'd be more around 170 mega hash, but you know, around the same cost. You know, that was about a $75 more for the 390s at the time than the 480s are right now, because 480s are about $250, where those were at 320 at the time. So cost differences here, that would have put that around almost $3,000, $3,100 I think is what a full rig was around that time. So, you know, it would have been more about almost 7 months there. But bottom line, I mean, we can see what the price is now and how that kind of works. So sorry for the kind of, you know, mock-up stuff, but this is kind of the real before all the pretty graphs get put together on the YouTube. It kind of starts like that. So task tomorrow is putting on that whiteboard that you saw, the funny Star Wars stuff that my daughter's actually put on there. But do that kind of mock up, and then I'm going to go ahead and get this kind of stained because it's just annoying to me that it's raw. Take it to the other side. It's kind of darker on this side. This was supposed to be a chalkboard. Kind of the same purpose. It's two-sided. And I wanted to have kind of both worlds of both whiteboard and chalk on one side. So that'll be a little bit of probably tomorrow's vlog, and then at some point we've moved a lot of the rigs out of here, and I have some extra store, you know, rigs that are built and ready for cards, and then just kind of cleaning this thing up. So maybe I'll do a time lapse of that clean up, and there's still a lot of, I still got a Devil 13, and then I gotta get unboxed here and some other cool stuff, and we will show you guys through that process.